Bro, I wanted to ask you because I listened to the bass in your songs. Who writes the bass?
I did. I write the bass. In that one, I wrote the bass. And yeah, it's funny that you asked. That's actually one of the few real synths I have. It's a Mini Moog Model D.
Oh, what the heck?
Yeah, it's from the 78. So it's like the real vintage one.
Oh, it's the original.
Yeah.
Wow, that's even cooler.
Did you get it in LA?
No, I got it in a small town in the middle of nowhere in Holland.
In Holland or Poland?
Holland, like the Netherlands.
Yeah, Netherlands.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool story. So I was living there. I did my undergrad in Rotterdam.
Okay.
And so I lived there for 4 years. And a friend of mine, also an Italian guy that lived there for forever. Like he's basically Dutch now. He's been living there for 20 years. And he's also like a huge keyboards nerd, great piano player. And at that time he was building his studio, and he had already bought a bunch of vintage keyboards. Like he had a Rhodes, he had a Whirly, he had a B3 organ, he had like a Mini Moog Model D himself. He had like a Juno vintage, like the Roland one. He had like 20 crazy keyboards. Like all of them were vintage and beautiful sounding. So I used to go to his place a lot, and we would just like jam. And then he will always have like keep an eye on the used keyboards like market. And then one day he was like, there's this ad for a Mini Moog, like a real vintage one, and it looks very good. It looks like as good as new. We should go check it out. And I was like, oh man, I don't know. It's expensive. I don't know if I can spend all that money. And I was like, no, let's just go and see it. So we take his car, and then we drive 2 hours across the Netherlands, and we end up in this small town. And there's this house we go in, and there's like this older guy, like maybe in his 60s, very nice guy. And then he brings us to his living room, and there's this Mini Moog Model D that looks like out of the box. Like I'm not kidding you. It's like there's no scratches. It looks like clean. Sounds beautiful. It's like, it was amazing. And I played it for a second, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. And he goes like, yeah, I purchased this one in 78. I'm the first owner. I never played it out of my house. And I just like, I don't use it. I don't use it much. So I want to sell it. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm taking it.
Yeah, that's a sign right there.
That's a sign. Yeah. It was meant for you, man.
Yeah. So I got it, and I've been using it since. It's beautiful. Right now, I'm not able to use it a lot because it's like I don't have a proper studio at the moment. I just moved in with my fiance, and we're in the process of building a little studio in our bedroom. So at the moment, it's like in the case, but I will bust it out soon again.
Nice. And that's the one you use for the Sunset?
Yes, it's the one I use for Sunset.
Do you want to share the patch?
I can't. Even if I could, I mean, I would if I could. I can't because on the Mini Moog you cannot save.
Yeah.
You just make it. You just make it and then move on.
Yeah, I mean that's the beauty of analog gear like that. It's always going to be just that moment in just that instance where it's that particular sound, and then once you turn it off, yeah, you're right. You're never going to get the same thing again.
Never.
Yeah.
What I can tell you is that it's like a square. It's a square